All right. Saturday morning. Let's run through this unofficial reshaping of the CrossFit Games news that everyone's talking about and could all be complete bullshit, but starting to hear it from a few different places, a bit of different information regarding exactly what's going to go through. So let's just treat it as the morning shortcut being 100% accurate and go off that. So no more regionals, no more invitational. You qualify, you receive an invitation to the CrossFit Games if you come first in the Open. So similar to the age division qualifiers, where you have an online thing to get your invitation to the CrossFit Games, which is what the teens do and what the masters do. However, I think there's a few more people outside those divisions, right, trying to qualify to the Games. The Open will move to October, and the Games will still be in August. And from November to June, you'll have the 16 sanctioned events, where if you win one, you get an invitation. So you are going to quadruple the amount of athletes at the CrossFit Games. There'll be 350 males and female athletes. So about 160 males, 160 females, 160 teams. And that is going to be bananas, trying to coordinate that. If the game stays over 5 days, 14 event weekend, like, how many heats is that of men? Like, holy shit, if we got events of like 4 people, 5 people for 170 athletes, like, you can have one workout a day. Anyway, let's take a step back. So people have got very different opinions, but let's just look at this from sort of like a couple of different ways. So if you're a CrossFit Games athlete who, say you're a taller, bigger athlete, you're never going to do well. Well, maybe you do well in the Open, but say you can't win it. Like, you can't win it. Say you're like in a region with Matt Fraser, who is going to be really good at the Open, and you're a taller athlete, and you might be able to go head to head with him at the Games, but in the Open you can't. Well, then you're not going to do the Open anymore. So you're going to forget about the CrossFit Games Open. It's not going to exist in your world anymore. If you train an affiliate or you own an affiliate, you're not going to participate in that Open. If you're not participating in the Open, then I think you're going to lose a lot of ambition from members to participate in the Open. And honestly, the regionals creates a goal for a lot of people that come into the Open and they finish top 500 in their Open, and they think, well, I could get into that top 30. The next year they finish top 100, top 200, like, yeah, if I took this seriously, I could make regionals. That would be amazing. And then maybe they do make regionals, they get a few sponsors, and then they have dreams of going to the Games. Like, it creates an allure, and the CrossFit Games is so big now, it's sort of detached itself from CrossFit. I would dare say that there's a lot of people out there that are either fans of CrossFit or who even do CrossFit and have ambitions of going to the Games or regionals and don't really know who Greg Glassman is, his story, how he got started, like training people with this methodology in a normal gym and then expanding and et cetera, et cetera. Like, I know all that history. A lot of people do, but I'm going to say a lot of people don't. But I guarantee you that every one of those people know who Dave Castro is, because he's the director of the Games and writes the workout. So although I like this concept of trying to change regionals, change the Open and the qualifying process, and I've said something for a long time, it should go to some sort of tour like you see tennis do, like surfing does, like all these huge international sports, they all have a tour, they all go to multiple locations, and based upon a point system over multiple events, you get your champions. Now, you could do that on a country basis. So I'll use Australia for an example. You have 4 sanctioned events, which are essentially 4 regionals events, which are just not set up by CrossFit, 1 in each major city or something like that. And based upon those 4, you get your top 5. Yeah, you don't have to win an event, not one person, but you go to all 4 or 5 events or 3 events, and from those 3, it's how you place via a point system over those 3 or 4 workouts, which determines your top 5. That's way more fair. It's much more of a test, because if you show up sick on one, then you have a chance to redeem yourself. If the workouts don't suit you exactly on one, then they might be a little bit better on the next one, and it's much more well-rounded, which is why you see different athletes at the games shine as what you do in the open and regionals, because there's a much more bigger variety of tests, right? And that's what we're truly trying to test, is who is the best over multiple tests. So you're good at this, you're good at that, and the more tests that you have, the more accurate the outcome. If you qualify one person from each country, so one person from America, all of America, one person from all of Australia, one person from Europe, there's a lot of people that are either going to be moving countries or just ditch CrossFit Open altogether. Now, how many affiliates pull their affiliation because of that? Like, how many people have affiliations just so they can participate in the Open, and they participate in the Open because there's the draw card of the allure of the CrossFit Games. The CrossFit Games is prestigious, and the people that make the CrossFit Games are a level above, and they've proven that as the test has got harder and harder through the Open, through regionals, and then through the Games. And the people that stand on the podium in the Games are without a doubt the best athletes in the sport. No one can argue that. If now all you do is have a sanctioned event, I'll use myself for example. So I won the Open in Australia in my region this year. So I would have gotten an invitation to the game. So, I mean, I could look at that and say, well, that's good for me, right? But let's say I come second in the Open. You have one bad workout, come second. All right, now I've got to pick a competition to go to. All right, I'm going to go to Wadapalooza. I come second. Fuck. Come back to Australia. I just spent how much thousands of dollars I spent to fly to Miami, come back. What's the next sanctioned event? Okay, Dubai. Now I've got to fly over there. Fuck, I came second again. Like, how many times are you going to do that and come second before you go, nah, I'm not going, I can't afford to do this? Like, sponsors aren't just going to, all of a sudden out, they change this format. You're not going to see an influx of sponsors just come in and just, like, pay for athletes to fly around to all these 16 events and try and win one. Like, you have to win it. You have to win it. And what if they have these 16 sanctioned events and sponsors do jump in and the top 20 guys travel around and do these events because more money comes into those events? They're now attracting more media. They're bigger events, like Wadapalooza triples in size, Dubai triples in size. There's much more media. There's television coverage. Now 20 athletes go around. Are they going to drug test at everyone? Because I fucking hope that they drug test at every event, is one point. 2, what if 20 athletes go around and the same top 5 people just win all of them? Like, if, like, the same 5 or 10 people just win all the events, do they say, oh no, you won last time. Oh, you came second. Oh no, but you won Wadapalooza. Oh, you came third, but you won in Dubai. So, well, we'll give the invitation to the guy that came 6th. Like, or do they just go, oh no, you've gotten Like, hi Matt, you've got 6 invitations to the games, and you won the Open in America, and then you won 6 out of the 10 sanctioned events. So now we're only taking another 10 athletes. Like, obviously, there's going to be a lot more information come out. I'm just taking this literally off what you're reading. Anyone can read off the Morning Chalk Up. And then what happens when we get to the games and there's 160 men, 160 women, 160 teams. Heat 1. It's snatches and muscle ups. 80 kilo snatches, 10 reps. Muscle ups, 15 reps per time. Go. No one can snatch 80 kilos or do a muscle up. Heat 2, Heat 3, Heat 4. Alright, Heat 60. Now the event gets finished. Like, no one's going to watch that. Like, that's not interesting. It becomes a joke. Once something becomes a joke, it loses its prestige. Why do you think CrossFit has grown so quickly? The games have grown so quickly. It's like, it's an amazing spectacle. People like are fascinated with, holy shit, how are people able to do that? Perform event after event, perform day after day. And look at something like F45, who came on and grew probably faster than CrossFit has, but they've never reached the same pinnacle that CrossFit has because they don't have the games. They've got the F45 playoffs, and it's a fucking joke because they've got the fittest or the best F45 athletes, and no doubt they're fit individuals, like they're shredded, they're fit dudes, fit women, but they've got a 1 hour or 1 day event, and it's 45-second stations with 6 kilo deadlifts and bar hopovers. It's like, yeah, okay, like I can go grab my auntie and we can go and do that playoff together. Like, yeah, you're going to get more reps in there, but she can fucking do it. All right, go and get your auntie and get her to do day 1 of the CrossFit Games. Like, it's totally fucking different, and that's the reason why people fly across the country, fly from a different country, spend thousands of dollars to watch a 5-day event, because it's like, I couldn't fucking do that if I tried. Like, holy shit, I want to watch that. That's why the fittest on Fittest in History, all these documentaries that they make each year are the highest downloaded, highest watched things on Netflix and iTunes. Like, come on guys, like, make it more accessible. You're just going to wreck it. And then, I mean, I don't, it's, if that's legit and that actually happens, like, it's very sad, but I don't really care, because I mean, they can fuck themselves over and someone else will just make the next CrossFit Games. It will be called something different, but someone else will make it. There'll be an online qualifier, there'll be a regionals, there'll be something else. Like, look at Waterpalooza, they already do an online qualifier, Dubai do an online qualifier, and I think Waterpalooza now are doing like a city versus city competition, which is like, I think it's online, but it's like regionals, and then they have the Waterpalooza. Like, there's a lot of events already doing this sort of stuff, so it wouldn't be far-fetched for them if CrossFit canned it all and like went down this road and ended up wrecking the CrossFit Games, that a few big companies get together and put a few $1 million on, up the prize money, open up to every single sponsor to bring their athletes. So now it's not owned by Reebok anymore. Like, you can wear whatever you want. Like, all these big companies can bring their athletes in, the prize money doubles, triples. Now, like, all those athletes that were going to go to the games and do the Open now go somewhere else and do this other thing, like whatever it is called, doesn't matter. And they just replicate the test. They hire out venues. There's more money. All the sponsors follow their athletes. All the fans follow their athletes. Oh, we're not going to do the Open anymore. Let's do this other thing. They've just made it accessible, and we have a 5-week challenge to get into this new test, and they've opened it up to everyone. It's the worldwide qualifier. Like, it's $10. Let's do that instead of the CrossFit Open. Like, that can shift very quickly. CrossFit's still young, right? And it's also so accessible and it's such a big fan base, and there's only one event, really, like regionals and the CrossFit Games, 2 events, that there's all this room open for other people to come in and take the market. So there's some big issues, and I think that like we know about probably like 1/100th of actually what's going to end up happening. But I think it's something interesting to talk about, and I very highly doubt that they're dumb enough to do literally what is written on that morning shortcut website. So, I mean, if they go to a tour type, all right, guys, you got 5 events, you have to go to all 5 events, Miami, Dubai, blah, blah, blah. It's like, there's a lot of people that can't afford that, for one, so they need to get rid of having a title sponsor that dictates everyone, unless that title sponsor is going to pay for every fucking athlete on that games roster to go to all of these events, like what happens in tennis and stuff. But they don't do that. They allow every athlete to be sponsored by who the fuck they want, so they don't have to pay for it. Just like, you guys get here. If you get here, there's a lot of competition prize money, and you can be sponsored by whoever you want, and they can pay for you to get here. Just show up, because we want the best. So either way, whatever way they do it, there's going to be some huge changes to the sport of fitness, whether it is a CrossFit, Reebok CrossFit thing in a year or two's time, or it's a completely different test. The sport of fitness, I've had a lot of people ask me, like, are you worried? Like, you're going to change, does this change your life plans? Obviously, it's way too premature to even think along those lines, but no, because the sport is so big, and that's the sport of fitness, not CrossFit, like, you know what I mean, that it will be recreated, and there will be a new spectacle, whether it's through Reebok CrossFit or not. So, interesting times. I really hope that this is a good thing, and really I really hope that they just don't go for this all online approach like they're saying they want to, because that would just be a disaster. And I mean, we already see it every year. People cheat, people fucking fudge videos, they change equipment, there's movement standards that haven't been thought through. The whole thing is just a fucking joke. So we'll see what happens.